Hello and welcome to another episode of The Card Show. It didn't come home, but the bronze medal did, the bronze trophy. And I'm going to be repping the shirt. For those that are watching, the Grey Palace ex-England shirt I managed to pick up. Every time I wore the shirt, we won. Barring the Argentina game, to be fair. But still. Yeah, it was a very entertaining game. For those that didn't watch it, should have watched it. I'm glad that some of the players that didn't get to play during the tournament got some game time. I thought he was going to swap maybe goalkeepers out, maybe bring in James Trafford for the second half, especially with being 4-0 up at half time. It could have been a chance to rotate the team, put some of the players in there, and do that way. France had quite a strong team out as well from the get go. But yeah, it was a very entertaining game, and we got the victory. It's our best finish since 1966, 53rd in the World Cup. So this should help our rankings as well. FIFA should push it up quite a lot. I think it gives us a lot of hope because I think we've played quite free-flowing football. Yes, we conceded a lot of goals, put a lot of pressure on ourselves. 4 goals in the second half, put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So, there's work to be done. I think, we've got to think about the next Euros, next World Cup, next 2-4 years. Who's going to be the goalkeeper? Will it still be Pickford in 4 years' time? As I think he will be at the Euros. I don't know if he will be next World Cup. I saw an interesting debate where they were saying about him, always being at a club that's, mid to low end of the table. I see Sunderland, they got relegated, and Everton obviously had a lot of trials and tribulations. Not like a European goalkeeper, not like with Villa and Argentina, right? With Emi Martinez always been sort of a top goalkeeper in a top team sort of thing. Arsenal and Villa have always been in there, especially with Unai Emery. If City hadn't assigned Donnarumma and Trafford had been starting this year, it could have been interesting. Having years' experience with a team like City. There's rumours that he could be Maresca's number 1 over Donnarumma. There's also rumours he's going to go. So, that could be interesting. Then I think Dean Henderson did start. I think it was his 3rd start, they were saying. I personally would like to see Trafford. I think he's probably going to be more suited to where we want to play. He's got youth on his side, which means he can be our goalkeeper for the next Euros, next World Cup, the Euros after that, and anything else in between. He's definitely someone you can probably say for the next 10 years can be number 1, barring injuries and form scenario. Whereas I look at Dean Henderson, I think it's like a stopgap. So maybe, maybe next Euros it's Dean Henderson. I know we tried obviously Sam Johnson in the past. I think Trafford probably is the way. Bit taller as well than Pickford, so better reach. And you got to think some of the issues that he's had. Pickford is probably so many shots you think he should have got there. He's a bit taller, and I think there's been blamed a lot for his his little people got these little T-Rex arms. And this, I think it was a Bungalow said this, the T-Rex arms. And don't get me wrong, I think I've actually met Pickford. Nando's in plays at Altrincham. Really nice person. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. But yeah, I do think same with Joe Hart. I thought Joe Hart was a great goalkeeper for England, a great goalkeeper in general. But maybe his time's going to an end. The next generation is going to come through. And we start bedding through the younger lot. I mean, it's kind of like what Spain is now, very young team, but very capable. I think England needs to do the same. I think the likes of obviously Foden missed out. I hope that's lit a fire on his backside. Cole Palmer, missed out. Rodgers is looking good. Bellingham's young. These sort of players are going to have to be the next, midfield debate of can you put him in without him? Can you replace him with him? But I think Elliot Anderson looks like he could be in that position for a long time. The striker's going to be interesting. I don't think we've got that next, Wayne Rooney, that next Harry Kane that's going to be prolific for us. I think it's much too late for Erling to switch back his allegiance to England, which is a shame. But yeah, I think that side of things is going to be very interesting because we have the youth. We definitely have some experience now. Great experience for some of these players. And hopefully, again, a lot of honestly anger, but sort of a bit of fire people's bellies, like Kobe Mainu, like Foden, like Cole Palmer, that say, "Hey, I don't want to be in this position again where, for Phil and for Cole, I'm left at home. I'm not thought about." And then for Kobe, it's like, "Oh yeah, you took me because I'm good enough, but not playing me." Like I want to make sure I'm on that team sheet. I'm playing. You know, I think that's what likes Elliot Anderson has done really well. He sort of had an opportunity, and he sort of said, "Hey, you've opened the door. I'm kicking it through. Like this is my spot now." And I think a lot of people thought Calvin Phillips was going to do that a couple of years back. Him and Rice seem to work well, and unfortunately, it's not worked out for Phillips due to injuries and this, that, the other. So it's very important that these next generation of players now really do sort of try and fight for these positions, prove themselves day in day out. Defense is obviously going to be an issue going forward. I'd like to think that there's some good talent because we've obviously done really well in the under 21 championships and also over the years, and hopefully they're coming to an age now. I remember left back is Ishe Smith Samuels. Um, he was, I think, he was bought by Chelsea from Everton, and then I think he's sold to Salzburg, or isn't he? The Chelsea sort of team, a Chelsea owned club, and then I think he was loaned out to Swansea. But yeah, I think he was touted to be a good left back in the future. We'll see what happens there. But we've got some good mix now of this sort of a couple of tournaments in for likes of Saka, Bellingham, etc. And that youth, I mean, again, it would have been another tournament for Phil and Cole, which would have helped. But and then the youth that have not had the tournaments that are going to come through these next few years. So yeah, we'll see. But it's 7 minutes on England, but I'm just very, very happy, very proud of the lads. I know people are going to say we should have been in the final, but again, you can't win them all. We lost on the day, but it is what it is. And it's a big learning curve, and now we move on, finish third, and we move on next tournament, and that's it. But another thing for talking about the World Cup is also we've seen lots of good performances, a lot of performances we were expecting from certain players. Obviously, we knew that Mbappe was going to be up there with Golden Boot era. He's absolutely smashing, scoring goals at World Cup. It's unbelievable, the record. He literally almost broke the record in this one tournament. Was it 10 goals? I can't remember what closer was. Was it 13, 12, 13? Growing up, obviously, R9 Ronaldo was my sort of idol. And when he did it, it was like, oh my God, he's the best ever. I think he got was it 5 at the tournament? 5, 6 maybe? So yeah, a crazy achievement from Kylian Mbappe. I do think he will be. I can't see Messi scoring anything against Spain. To be fair, maybe he might get one, but yeah, I can't see him getting on the score sheet personally. Maybe a penalty. I don't know, but yeah, I think Spain will shut them down pretty easy until if they play like they played against us, they'll shut them down to the last 20, 30 minutes, and then it'll be too late anyway because Spain will just tie them out better than we did. They would control the ball better. They'll, Rodri, Fabian Luiz, they'll bring on Pedri. They'll just, they'll hold the lines better. I don't think their defense is as good as ours. I think it's pretty similar. Like maybe we edge it, Laporte, Gubarassi. It's like a experience in youth, but I don't think they're like exceptionally better than Mark Gay or John Stones. So it's one of them. And as we saw with the winning goal for Argentina, it was a cross and header, and I don't think they got a great height. So we have got to see Dan Burn to bring on, who was on at the time. But yeah, I do think that Spain should win that game. But back to performances, I love a tangent there. Yeah, it's interesting. I think in the beginning of the tournament, people were obviously raving about Fozinha from Cape Verde. But his performances now is, he was talking to Inter Miami after him, and now he's going to, I think it's Colo Colo, probably interesting. Morgan Rogers was probably one of the biggest surprises for me. I didn't really think he'd have a tournament where people talk about it so much and then get 117 million, is it now? Pound transfer, which is crazy. We'll see. I'm sure we'll see the prices there of his cards probably have a bit of an incline. People be interested. I know they'll have a dip because they'll see them talking about for a few weeks and do more transfers, but it's very interesting, especially if you're a Chelsea fan. it'd be interesting to see what the business was like at Fanatics Fest, which we'll talk about in a minute. Because obviously these won't be comps, if people are doing deals to deals. I'm going to presume there's going to be a lot of soccer deals going down because it seems very soccer centric, which is kind of cool. With it being in New York, they'll see the final and the buzzer on there. So they had Leo Messi on the stage, yeah, Rodri on stage. So yeah, it's been good for the soccer card market, been good for the sports card market. Great timing for Fanatics, and yeah, that's great for the hobby. I think the national will be just as bumping as well. But on to Fanatics Fest, you know, I think it's helped that it's been such a buzz around this World Cup. I think the Panini sticker album, which I was so close to completing, and I was going to release this short series of trying to complete it for the World Cup's over. I didn't drop any videos, so I'm tempted to drop some today, which is quite funny. Or I might do it after it's over because I didn't complete. I went to complete it before the World Cup finished, and I didn't. So yeah, it's kind of a shame. Yeah, and do like a little tournament. Like whoever guessed the first team that I completed, I would have bought them a shirt. That's kind of a cool thing to do. So maybe we'll do it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's gonna have to be the World Cup because I failed my mission. I failed mission incomplete. Sent to the gulag. But yeah, I don't think there's been such a big buzz for a World Cup sticker album. I don't think there's been such a big buzz worldwide, like globally. Yes, obviously we've had more countries in, so that's kind of got interest from other countries. Obviously, the argument there is obviously they were quote unquote lesser or smaller nations, so maybe it wouldn't matter too much. Like how many people from Cape Verde watched this World Cup because their team was in it, as opposed to watching the World Cup 4 years ago, and then what's the difference of people that watched it because their team were in it, as opposed to watching it because they watch football anyway. But I think this format worked well. I was happy with the amount of teams in it. There's been a big buzz for it. And obviously, I know Fanatics definitely do Panini, but the strategy and the planning of having this in New York, and there's going to be money in that room because you know that New York's going to have inflated prices because of the World Cup. So people who stay there, it's going to be a pretty penny. If you can afford to stay over, let alone fly there, eat, drink there for X amount of days, then you got some money. So people aren't going there to be at Fanatics Fest with like £100 in their pocket per day. They go in there with a good few thousands per day to spend. And this is why I do mention this about Fanatics Fest, about the national. Yes, you could do this on a budget. Of course you can. You could do Fanatics Fest on a lot cheaper. You could be in sort of New Jersey and commute in every day, or this sort of stuff. I think Philadelphia, Washington is a train journey from Quad. You could do that every morning if you wanted to. If you're not desperate to go and it was cheaper to stay, of course. It's similar with with the national. You don't always have to stay at the convention center. You could stay in Chicago somewhere cheaper and commute in. But do you want to go to these events? Spend, let's just say roughly it's £600, £700 for your flights, and then £1,000 for your room for the week. So straight away you're in 1,700. Then it's your tickets, admission to these things. I just say 200 for nice and easy. That's 1,900 from the get go for just flights, accommodation, and getting into the venue. Yeah, and that doesn't include any sort of like transportations to and from airports, which could cost you an extra, $30 each way, £25 each way, maybe £50. Obviously, your food, drinks throughout the day, evening, and then have money to do deals. Granted, yes, you could go with the whole scope of I will sell first to fund, which would be a great way of doing it. Is I always say like these things is obviously personal choice. If you have the money, of course, by all means, go and spend that money away. That's how you get enjoyment, and if you get enjoyment just being there and not having to buy stuff and sell stuff, and not just being, hey, yeah, it's £2,000, and I'm there, I can eat, and that's it. I don't need to have any money. If I'd see something, then I might splurge, but if not, I'm just happy just going around, socializing, enjoying the event. That's cool. But if you want to go there and actually be involved in this and probably buy, sell, trade, and have this as a work and a pleasure thing, then I do think you do need to have you know easy 2,225 for your flights, travel, accommodation, and entry in. And then I do think you're gonna need maybe five to 100,000, £500 to £1,000 per day, sort of just to like enjoy it. Because you may see a car that's $300-400, and that may be high end to a lot of people, but over there that's going to be kind of the low end, lower mid end. Uh, so it is one of them. Like I said, you don't have to buy stuff to enjoy it, but yeah, I just think when you're over there, the opportunities are going to be there for you to buy and sell, or buy with the opportunity to sell for more, or at certain places. So yeah, if you can invest that money in some of these cards, then yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, because the sort of card that you might not leave the American shores, that you could bring over to Europe, to the UK card shows, to the European card show. So yeah, it's definitely a big opportunity. But yeah, I do think you need big funds. And again, I think then when you're doing that to buy sell, knowing you're going to make a profit, it sort of lessens that blow as well, right? Also, do not spend 2.5 on flights, travel, accommodation. You might spend, hopefully you've earned off and more than. But worst case scenario, you lowered it down and you had a good holiday. And all of a sudden you had 2,500 on a work/holiday, and that's come down to 500 or 1,000, and you've had a good time, business, done some business, and you've had a holiday out of it as well. Which holidays to New York for that sort of money is really good, right? So it's wherever you get your enjoyment out of and where you're happy, and comfortable spending that money. Obviously, for myself at the moment, with me going more down the back from home, it's just collecting cheese cards, and then elite card investor, just buying, selling to fund these sort of things. For me, it doesn't make any financial sense for me to spending 2,000, 2,500 on flying out accommodation to New York for a show, because that 2,500, for instance, I could literally sit at home on eBay and spend it on cards to make usually a good profit on it. I try and double and some money sort of thing. So it's going to be efforts. Maybe yes, I do miss out on opportunities because I'm not socializing as much, but there's time and place for that. There's a lot more shows in the UK that I'd rather be going to. 2,500 would probably pay for my year of going up in another country at shows, whether that be Scotland card show one month, then London next month. That they could be at £300 per pop. So for stuff like them, what, 2 Scotland card shows a year, 4 London card shows a year, sort of pays for those big shows. The local ones, obviously, Manchester ones are pennies for me. Maybe a few quid in petrol, maybe, or whatever, maybe, or if I want to taxi it there. But yeah, it's obviously a lot cheaper. So I suppose it's one of them. Would you rather be at numerous ones on your doorstep and grow that way, or would you rather go America and try that way? And yeah, it's personal preference. It is personal preference. It doesn't. There's no right or wrong. There's just a preference of what's going to work well for you. And again, this is what works well for me. I think it makes more financial sense for me, and I think a lot of people. But that's only going off people I spoke to in the past that went to national, back in the day, and haven't been back since. Because yes, it was a great time, and then they've done it, but now it's like, well, there's a lot of money to spend on this, and it's like they didn't get it. Whether they didn't think about this as a business well enough, they just didn't invest in cars to sell and recoup money about, or they just go for the national, which is fine. Go to the Fanatics Fest for Fanatics Fest. Go to the national for the national. You don't have to go to think about bringing your money back. But like I said, in these current times, people obviously in finances, a lot of people can be quite tight. So it's always good to have that mentality of, what am I spending? What's going to make return income? How can this be sort of viable? Okay, I'm happy just to spend that money and go enjoy it. Or okay, maybe I will not go. Yes, I'll have a bit of FOMO, but I can spend this money here and make me more money here, sort of thing. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure a lot of people are happy they went. I'm sure a lot of people are similar, not so much upset, but a bit more like, oh yeah, I maybe should have thought about it more as a business than just a pleasurable thing. But yeah, hopefully they bring these stuff to the UK and Europe. So yeah, the international, they should do it. They call it the international, or we have one in Europe, we call it the European. And then we just need a Fanatics Fest. Because we're going to do other ones, but they cancel it. Yeah, Fanatics Fest for us guys. Yeah, whether that's in Europe or, I mean, looks at Excel would have been perfect. Or, wherever it may be. Just treat us rest of the world. We need it. We need it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I'll go another ramble there. People are like, well, it doesn't make a difference. I want to spend the money, I'll spend the money. In other news, the basketball season is, I don't say it's heating up, that's the wrong word, but obviously there's a few of these games now, the summer league, and so it's not interest, but there's news which is interesting. So it's always interesting to see what happens with the market and these sort of things, because sometimes you have a breakout player that you think, oh, this is going to be a year, that's why they're playing now. They didn't play much last year, people slept on them, people don't think about them. So it's always interesting to look at opportunities there. And obviously Formula One is in a crazy space right now. For the years of being dominated by Lewis Hamilton, and then we had the Verstappen era, and it was exciting at first, and then it sort of got a bit boring because they were just so dominant. And then we finally had, I don't know, break that mold and pick up the championship. Obviously, him and Piastri were fighting for ages, and Verstappen came back, but Norris held on. And then this year, Kimi Antonelli has been a revelation. And it's been, I think, refreshing, but it's been really good to see. It's kept interest. I've never seen more people looking to buy or sell Kimi Antonelli cards. He definitely looks like one for the future. Piastri is sort of fell off a little bit, bad year for McLaren so far. Long way to go yet of the season, but I think it's going to be very very interesting how it plays out towards the end of this season. F1, Ferrari were doing well. Max decided to come back recently. I think it could really heat up and be possibly a 3 to 5 way challenge for the title going to the end, of the season. You look at it at the moment, and you look at the top. Let's go to the top 5, and you're going to use number 5 reluctantly, but because he is current champion, I will put him in there. So you got Antonelli on. This is also before the Belgian Grand Prix. Antonelli is on 179 points. George Russell, also Mercedes, on 154 points. Lewis Hamilton of Ferrari on 147 points. Charles Leclerc of Ferrari on 108 points. So a bit of a difference there. And then Lando Norris on 97 points of McLaren. So that's the top 5. And you're probably thinking, well, 97 to 179 is a big difference. And it is. But let's face it, 1 win Norris and 1 DNF. Or what did he finish? Was it 12th or 11th last week? And all of a sudden that gap goes, to what, 122 to 179, and all of a sudden it's not that big. It's only a couple of races difference, right? And I think that's what makes it so interesting. Like even Charles, a big win for Charles. Big good result for Charles. He's 3rd on the grid, 4th on the grid. He's a big result for him, and a crash or anything to Antonelli, and all of a sudden that changes. I talked about Verstappen. He's currently on 76 points, so he's down there. But again, if you just keep winning, no matter what the other person does, he'll claw that the 103 points back eventually. You'll claw it back because there's sprint races to be had and victories out there to be had. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, at the moment, it kind of looks like it's Mercedes and Ferrari who will be in the top 4, but yeah, just keep an eye on it going into the future races and after the break, and see what changes teams make. But I think it's really interesting, especially if you're English as well. You're in 3 of the top 5 drivers that are English, which is nice. I'd love Lewis to get one, not gonna lie. Love Lewis to win one for Ferrari. Get the title he deserves. But also, Kimi Antonelli, what sort would be? I think he'd be the 2nd youngest driver. I can't remember now to win a title, but yeah. I did manage to, I don't know if he's listening, but shout out to Card Ninja, picked up another one of his cards, which I was buzzing about on the raffle. I thought I'd missed it. I woke up this morning and missed it, but luckily I didn't. Another one to the collection. And I did another video I need to drop before that one comes in. Just remind myself. So yeah, it'll be a Card Ninja video getting released shortly. I do have my Fishes Fast stuff as well, so I need to do that one. And I think from maybe this week, maybe I'm going to start releasing some of the pictures of cards I've got. So yeah, keep it packed that way. It gives me more time for reading now because I've got a bit of a catalog of them built up to focus on Elite Card Investor, which is kind of cool. So yeah, thanks for listening this far. You guys are the real MVPs. Hope you're well. Hope you're enjoying this summer. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.